Hey everyone, welcome to another episode on the Asian Hustle Network podcast. Today we have Andrew Chow. Andrew, welcome to the show.
Hey, nice to meet you. Thanks for having me.
Of course, Andrew. This has been months in the making. Excited to have you on the show. Tell us about yourself and your upbringing.
Right, so I'm Andrew Chow. People know me as Machi DD, or now it's MDD. I came out with my first album in 2003, so I was 13. I was with my group Machi, and so a lot of people know me from that. But since then, I've continued to be a musician in Taiwan. I've done many albums since then. And right now, I'm really focusing on electronic music. And currently, I am signed to Sony Music Taiwan. So a little bit about.
Congratulations. 2003. That's a long time. Like, what is that,
I
like
know.
18 years? Holy
Yeah,
moly.
it feels like a really long time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what is it like being in the industry for that long at this moment, right? Knowing that you started about 18 years ago, and what has your personal transition been?
A lot of things change, a lot of things stay the same. Definitely, the experience has, I've seen a lot, right? But at the same time, I've seen the industry change a lot as well. Although, I do have to say that your perspective as a 13-year-old, you don't really get the full picture, right? A lot of decisions probably made by adults that you don't get to see. So I can't really say like, yeah, I'm a 20-year vet of the music industry. I don't think it works exactly like that, but it's close.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to you, right? Because the music industry is very tough and very competitive and highly saturated. And to be relevant for 18 years is not an easy task, right? I want to hear about your creative process as an artist.
Sure.
How do you find your inspiration? Like, do you have any daily routines or things that you practice along the way to help you perfect your abilities?
I think that when it comes to music, obviously, you need to have the mentality that you want to perfect your craft. You want to be the best. You want to do your personal best at whatever you are trying to do. With whether that's going to be singing or songwriting or producing music or playing the guitar or whatever. Right? You gotta get as good as you can be. As your natural limit. And that's the first thing, obviously. Other than that, like I think finding inspiration comes and goes. For me, I mainly write songs, right? So what I would do is I just just throughout the day I'll record like little melodies and stuff that I might have in my head. Because I personally found that whenever you try to sit down and write a song and just feel like I'm gonna write a song right now, like it's literally impossible. You'll just stare at the screen, just like I have no idea what I'm doing for like an hour. So that doesn't feel good. So it definitely helps to record your tracks. Just sing it into the microphone, right? A little bit beforehand. And then yeah, and when it comes to writing songs, I definitely gotta say, I used to think that I knew a lot about writing songs. So I've been writing songs for so long, but then I realized that I know nothing. The reason why is because one of my most famous tracks that I've written, which it has about like I don't know 10 million views on YouTube. That song, I thought it was so bad. I told the group that I was writing it for, I said, you know what? Don't even put my name on it. Don't even give me credit. I don't even want the credit. This song is I don't want this song on my resume. That's how bad I thought it was. That's how like terrible I felt about this song. I felt this song would ruin my reputation, right? And then it comes out and it's like it's the biggest song ever, right? And the opposite happens where I'm like, I just love this song that I make. I'm like, this is my magnum opus. This one right here, this is it. And then I release it and like no one listens to it, right? So
Oh no.
um yeah, so I think that when it comes to writing music, a lot of people they may feel self-conscious about it. They might think like, oh, I don't know, like are my lyrics are they embarrassing? Will people not like it or something like that? I say just go for it. Just go for it. If it's bad, no one's going to listen to it, and if it's good, then people will listen to it, right?
Yeah, I,
So
I like the mentality, right? And just put yourself out there.
you got to put yourself out there, yeah.
It's more it's a lot it's very brave, to do something like that. And
You have to be. You have to be.
yeah, I can't imagine like for me, I'm comparing in my head, it's like putting an essay that you wrote on the internet, right? For everyone
Yeah.
to read, to
Yeah.
feel, to criticize, whatever it is. It takes a
Yeah.
lot. And it shows that much character that you have with yourself to be able to put yourself in that position. And out of curiosity, like what emotion do you feel when you feel the most inspired? Right? Do you feel sadness? Do you feel like anger? Do you feel compassion? Do you feel loneliness? Is when you find the inspiration. What is that one emotion that triggers like your creativity when you're like, okay, I got to sit down and write right now?
Um, there's definitely like a drive that you feel that you're like, I need to write this down because you know from experience that if you don't do it now, you will forget, right? Because your ideas are too complicated to hold in your head for, more than literally just like half an hour, then it's gone, right? So you got to do that. I have felt like some inspiration during times of like being really sad or being really 感动. Man, I can't remember what does that mean in English. But you feel really 感动. Sorry, I don't know what that means.
Then no,
You
let's assume you feel really emotional and
you
like
feel
really
very
inspired.
emotional, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. When you feel really emotional, you may have certain ideas, and it's tough because usually those times are not when you're at your computer and you're not there to sit down and do it, right? Those are the hardest times, right? Because that might be like a breakup or something like that. So it can be difficult to channel those emotions into your writing. It can be. Like I said, just try to record or write down your ideas and then try to recall them to the best of your ability. That definitely gets like something gets lost in there, but what can you do?
Yeah, I mean those are really good insight into your routine and your day, right? And right now I'm just reading Will Smith's book. I'm just so I
Oh
know
yeah, how is
there's
it?
a controversy behind that, and because
I
I
haven't
found
heard much about it.
yeah, I mean controversy because the whole Oscar thing, right? Where
Oh
he
right, right, right.
that's the reason why I heard the book because people are like, you should read
Uh-huh.
the book. You understand why he did the way he did. But I'm only the
Uh-huh.
first half of the book where he talks about his inspiration behind rapping and behind creating
Uh-huh.
music and writing it. And I find so much parallels between your two stories, right?
Yeah,
Because you have to feel the emotion, you have to feel obsessed about what you do. If you're not obsessed about what you do, you're not going to find the passion to do it every day and practice it, right? It has to be on top of your mind, the first thing you think about every single day.
definitely. Especially because right now is not the best time to be a musician, with COVID and the market. And so there has to be something else besides like, I want to get famous or I want to make money. There has to be more motivation than that, especially right now.
Yeah, definitely 100% agree. And that with that question, I want to hear about like your turning point of your career where you're like, I can do this. I'm going to stay with this for a long time, right? Things start popping off. What was that first turning point for you like, and what was going through your mind?
I I was in college and I was really boring and I was learning, interesting subjects like sociology and psychology and stuff like that. But I realized that these wouldn't really translate into any useful skills. So I thought, what am I going to do with my life? Because I didn't really want to, become like a salaried office worker. I just felt like that wasn't going to make me happy. So I decided to go to music school. The reason I did that was because I felt like, everyone has their own thing that they're talented at, right? Like you don't have to be the smartest person. I'm definitely not the smartest guy, like in terms of book smarts, but I do have one special thing, and that is I have perfect pitch. So I thought, well, I should definitely use my talents, right? It would be a waste. It'd be a waste to let these talents go to waste. So that's why I decided, okay, I'm gonna just put my effort into music school and doing music, right? So I think that everyone should find what they're good at and stick to doing that.
Yeah, that's really, really good advice too. And as you're progressing to your music career, what was your first viral video? What was your first viral song that happened that you're like, dang, this is it. This is gonna be the one.
The funny thing is I mean, so there's a funny one. Maybe we can put like a link in there, and I thought it was pretty funny. Where I was at a show, and the MC or the host, he goes, this is Andrew Chow, and he speaks in this very Chinese accent, and his English is not very good. He goes, this is Andrew Chow, and he's been raping since he was 5. And I was like, what? So he meant rapping, but that was really funny. So then I found the recording, and I turned that into a song, because I think at the time it was pretty popular to like turn like news and stuff like into little meme tracks where you would like use auto tune, and so I did that, and that was really fun. That was a really fun one. And the funny thing is, a lot of people heard that track that usually don't listen to my music. And so, that was a little fun thing. And so I really enjoyed doing those, even though, it's not like they're paid or anything. It's fun. It's fun. Then after that, I've done a lot of tracks for this comedy group on YouTube called Wacky Boys. And a lot of their stuff is really, it's like parody stuff, or it's pretty viral, right? Because funny like meme stuff is pretty viral.
Yeah, definitely good insight to how things work overseas because I know things in the industry across every country is quite different, right? And the next question I have is why did you decide to launch your career in Taiwan versus like the US or something?
I felt like it was easier because I had more connections, and I just wanted to be myself. I think that as an Asian, if you want to do Asian stuff, if you're an Asian in America, you definitely need like, you have to play off your Asian culture a bit more. It kind of sucks. Like if you can't, if you just want to like do your own thing, I feel like, um, actually, as a like there are YouTubers, like music YouTubers who do a pretty good job just being themselves and doing music. So I think that's actually fine. I simply chose Taiwan because I already, came out in Taiwan, and I just wanted to go ahead and keep doing it. But I feel like if you're in America and you're doing music, I think that people in general would be more inclined to listen to you if you somehow you played off your Asian roots. Just because like, I don't know, I saw everything everywhere all the time. Yeah. And there's a lot of Asian people in that movie, and they did a good job, right? With like the whole laundromat and the whole, like speaking, speaking different languages and stuff. That's just how it is. That's what people expect. So it's a little easier if you do it that way, I think.
Yeah, I mean that brings up a pretty good point too. I never really thought of it from that angle, right? Because as an Asian American, when I look at these artists, now that you bring up that point, it's kind of true. Like there's a lot of angles of I'm Asian American. This is my identity. It's a huge part of their music. It always incorporates Asian American history in there somehow, which I think is a great thing. And for you to bring up saying that you wanted to be yourself by starting your career in Taiwan, that actually makes a lot of sense to me, right? Because no one's gonna bat an eye that you are Taiwanese in Taiwan. It just
Yeah.
makes sense, right? So thanks for
Well,
bringing that point up.
I am Asian American, and I am very Asian American actually. But I don't. I mean, Asian American is basically just American, which is fine. But it doesn't make for like the most entertaining, like like cultural, like memes, and like like black people have a very deep culture with their hip hop, um so they can do, like a lot of like, you know, gang, they could do a lot of stuff like that. For us Asian people, like we go back to, people just expect like, oh, well, you have to go back to doing like traditional, wearing cheap house and stuff, which is kind of weird. That's what they think. Although, as Asian Americans, we're like, whoa, I never even seen a cheap house. What's a cheap house? So, I don't know. Like you look at like, you look at like, really, really famous, who's famous? Rich Brian, right? He kind of just like, it's just, it's kind of like a parody, right? His parody. Like, I've in his interviews, he's like very Asian American, very normal, but he chose to do a parody because it's more interesting, it's more fun, right? Um, I think that this, the stereotype, which is a stereotype for a reason, which is, Asian Americans, they study really hard, lawyers, doctors. That's it's good for society, and it's good in general, great in general, but doesn't make for the most interesting music.
Yeah, I can see the point that you make there. Out of curiosity, like, what is your schedule like the next few months? Like, are you going on any tours? I know you recently signed with a label. Congratulations on that. When you
Thank
sign
you.
with a label, like, what kind of things did they plan for you? Like, did they plan your music, your wardrobe, your lyrics? Like, how does that process work for someone who doesn't know anything?
It depends. It kind of depends, but it's not quite as the label can do stuff for you, but you got to understand that labels now and maybe 20 years ago have changed a lot in terms of like their power, just because of social media. So I think that if you're trying to go the more traditional route, it is hyper competitive, and so the label really can't push you as far as they might have used to be able to do. So a lot of it is you're doing your own social media and stuff, honestly. And it's actually a lot more business than you might expect. I write proposals for my music. So if I want to do a project, like I want to do an album and I want funding for it, then I'll write a proposal and say, this is my concept, this is my idea, this is how much money I think I'm gonna need to do this. These are the people that I might need. It's very business-like, right? Um, you definitely can't sit down and think that the label. I'm sorry, there's a helicopter outside. I don't know if you can hear that or not, but
It's okay.
I don't think you can rely on a label to take care of you in terms of like have your whole creative plan laid out. It's just not how it works anymore, unfortunately. Um, Especially nowadays with stuff like NFTs coming out, and that is, this kind of disruptive technology is not something. Well, maybe in America they're a bit more forward with it, but in Taiwan it's mostly the labels trying to, it's very monolithic, and it moves much more slowly because there's so much bureaucracy. So I think the lucky thing is, I think that they understand that they kind of are getting behind on the times, so they do offer a lot more freedom in what you're allowed to do, because they found that a lot of successful artists nowadays are kind of doing their own thing, and so they're like, oh, okay, well, it works if we just let them do what they want.
Yeah, I mean that's really good insight too into the different subtle differences of like different industries, especially in Taiwan and like the US, for example, right? And kind of curious too, like tell us about like your day in life where you're going on tours, you're performing, you're getting bookings, right? How does that feel and look for you? Right? When you walk into a room, you walk into a nightclub or wherever you are, or a concert, and like people are there to watch you. What is that feeling like when you're on stage?
Sure. I can tell you, but to be fair, right now because of COVID, everyone's antisocial. I've probably had more shows canceled than I can count. It's kind of right now, because of COVID, even though that the COVID restrictions are being lifted, I think people in general are still very antisocial. Where it's just like they would just choose not to go to a crowded venue, having like 10, 20 people in like 1 square meter or whatever. They just choose not to do that now, right? I mean, I know that's how I feel. But in the past, obviously, performing my music for other people is a great feeling. It's where all the achievement comes from, right? Because you finish your own track, you finish your own song, you're like, oh yeah, it's great. I enjoy it. You probably listened to it like 1,000 times, but it's just you can't wait to get it out into other the audience and let them hear it. So being able to play my music for other people in front of a crowd, and to hear their reaction and see their reaction, that's like basically where all the achievement comes from, right? So it's definitely great. um that's what it's all about, really, right? And you do get used to it, but now that we don't have that right now because of COVID, I definitely miss it. So and to me, it doesn't really matter if it's like 10 people or 100 people or 1,000 people, because I think that I just try to get my music out to as many people uh, as I can. Although my music isn't actually mainstream. I don't do mainstream music for myself. I do write mainstream music, but it doesn't have my name on it. Right? It's like ghostwriting, I guess. So for my own stuff, I don't expect. My goal isn't like, oh, I want to perform in like a stadium with with 10,000 people. I actually prefer to get to talk to fans personally. Like I don't really want to. I feel like it's not necessary to call people like fans or whatever, but just being able to people who like my music and to like talk to them. It's fun. It's fun. Um, there's definitely something there that you can't get from being like, well, maybe a doctor, because you help your patients and they're very grateful to you. Um, but for other professions, I don't think there's definitely some respect there, which people they look up to you, especially because maybe your music helped them in a certain moment, because maybe they were feeling down and your music made them happy, so they're grateful to you for that, right? And so they
Mhm.
express that gratitude, and that's a lot of achievement comes from there. So something that that's where some motivation comes from that you don't get just from money or fame.
Yeah, I mean, those are really good insights too. And I personally feel that everything you choose and do in life, it's difficult in somehow, some way, in some form, right? Like the biggest thing is like, can you find fulfillment from that? And can you find passion from that? Right. And also it comes down to one thing, it's impact. Whether you're a doctor impacting patients and their health, or a musician impacting your fans or supporters with their mood or mentality and whatnot, it's all about making that impact and being purposeful in life is really what I think it is, right? And Andrew, I'm kind of curious too. How'd you come up with MDD? Right? I'm looking at the whole time that we're on this recording. I'm just like, I don't see an A or a C in there from Andrew Chow. How do you come with MDD for? I mean, I want to hear
Yeah,
the
well,
story behind that.
Mati DD was my stage name when I first came out, because I came out with the group Machi. DD means little brother. I was 13, so I was a little kid. So it's basically like little kid Machi, right? But as I got older, people were like, you should change your name. And I was like, I don't want to change my name because, look at Lil Wayne. He's been rapping since he was a kid. He's still called Lil Wayne. But in the end, I capitulated, and I decided just to change to MDD. So, it's not that, that's just why I did it.
Okay, it's good to hear the origin story behind that. And I guess we have one or two questions left, right? And the next question is, what's next for you, right? Let's say the pandemic is over and everything is open, wide open again. What is next for you? What is your goal for like the next five to like five too long? Let's talk about 2 to 3 5 3 to 5 years.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait for the pandemic to be over. I don't think it'll be over anytime soon. Like the pandemic can be over, but I think people's mentality may not be over so soon. I hope it will. I honestly hope it will be. I want to, put out more music. Um, get people back into, the social mode so they can go out, have drinks with their friends, party, dance, do all that, have fun again. And I'm just committed to making cool art. Although I'm a musician, as a musician nowadays, you still gotta do like some art stuff. So I'm working on an NFT, but not just like a JPEG. Not just like one of your run of the mill like scam JPEG things. I want to make my NFT like something actually cool, something kind of, actually like have a little something innovative in there, something I can be proud of, right?
Yeah.
So doing that and then combining that with my new music. So just creating cool art that is going to be different and that than what other people have made before, and just something I hope that people can appreciate and be like, whoa, this guy makes some cool stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I like that perspective too, right? And just being able to combine and incorporate not mainstream stuff, like cooler, out of the box stuff, like NFTs into your music. I think that's a huge part of being an artist, right? Because at the end of the day, it's like I feel like most of the marketing depends on yourself, and most of the creativity is on you, right? No one else can do that for you. And
Definitely.
yeah, so I feel yeah, I mean, thank you so much for that response for sure. So Andrew, so we do have a final question, and that final question is what advice would you give to someone who is just starting their music career in Taiwan right now? What thing would you advise them to do differently from when you first started?
um if someone's going to be starting out doing music, I would say definitely, as I said before, try to, you know in terms of your skill, be the best version of yourself. Second is you got to eat. So you got to hustle and approach it like a business. Um, if you definitely have to think about what the market wants in terms of what you want. So you should approach it more like a business, as I said. And then hmm, I mean, differently than what I did. Um, yeah, I think those are two good things. I can't really think of anything else. I mean, those are two big important things, right?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think those are great. You have to treat it like a business if you want to take it seriously, right? You can't just treat it
Yeah,
like a hobby because at the end of the day, you're all right. You do gotta eat. The only way you eat is hustle. The only way you eat is practice. The only
yeah,
way you eat is get better at your craft. Because once you're number one and you're undeniably good, no one's gonna deny you at all at that front stage, at that meal, at that payroll
yeah.
or whatever it is, right? So I absolutely agree with your statements.
I think that a person who is going to want to choose to be a musician now, they need to very carefully consider, and don't try to do it just because it's fun. Because as soon as you become professional, it's not fun anymore. At least it's not as much fun. Okay, it's still fun. Not as much fun though. You definitely have to work even when you don't want to. So make sure that that's like something that you're very committed to doing. Instead, because you got to really think about the reasons why you're doing it, and if that is really your purpose in life to go into being a musician. Because there are some good things, um, but there are also, there are also risks with it too. Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, I think people should be well aware of the risk and reward, right? Higher risk, more reward. But definitely don't come into very naive, knowing that things may or may not work out, but it largely depends on you and your team, your own creativity to make things happen for sure. So
Yeah.
Andrew, how can our listeners find out more about you and reach out to you online?
Yeah, I have a Instagram. I have YouTube. I have a YouTube channel. So it's MDD Andrew Chow. That is my Instagram, and on YouTube it is also MDD Andrew Chow. I believe if you search that, you will find me. I am on Spotify. You can hear my new stuff if you search MDD. My old stuff if you type in Machi DD. So that's also why I changed my name as well, because I wanted to separate my new stuff from my old stuff. I didn't want the Spotify playlist to, keep it going and start playing like stuff from 2003. So yeah, you can find me. You can find me there.
For sure. We'll include all of that in the show notes along with Andrew's bio and headshot as well.
Great, thank you. Awesome,
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today, Andrew. Really appreciate your story.
cool. Thanks, Brian. Thanks, guys.